The night was quiet in deep space. Stars shined like cold fire far away from human reach. Inside the command ship, eternal dawn. Commander Harris stood alone, watching the endless sky. He felt something was wrong, though the universe looked calm. Suddenly, the ship's communication panel beeped. A strange signal was breaking through the silence. At first it sounded like static, just random noise. But then, a trembling voice spoke. Please make it stop growing, I can't hide it anymore." Harris froze. The voice did not belong to any human, it was alien, weak, filled with fear. No code, no formal greeting, only pure desperation. The crew rushed into the control room. Technicians scanned the frequency. They said it came from an uncharted sector near the edge of known space, no colonies, no stations, no human presence there. The voice repeated again, broken, almost crying. "Help me. It will find me soon, I cannot stop it." Some crew thought it was a trap, others believed it was a distress call. Harris looked at the frozen screen, hearing the panic in every word. Something inside him told him it was real. The signal ended, suddenly, leaving silence. But the echo of that voice stayed in the room. The words "make it stop growing" kept repeating in Harris's mind. He wondered what could be growing, and why an alien scientist would beg a human for help. The Council, back on Earth, advised caution. They warned him not to trust, not to leave safe space. But Harris could not shake the feeling. He had seen many battles, many lies. This was not a lie. This was a cry for survival. The ship changed course, heading into the dark region. Every crew member felt uneasy. They whispered about the strange voice. Some said it was a ghost, some said it was a warning. No one could sleep. Days passed as they approached the coordinates. The system looked dead, no life, no light. Yet sensors detected something hidden on the surface of a barren planet. A small signal pulsing, weak but alive. When the ship landed, the air was thin and cold. The ground was covered with black dust. Nothing moved, no birds, no insects, no wind, only silence, heavy and endless. Harris and his team walked with careful steps. They carried scanners and weapons. The signal grew stronger as they neared a broken facility. Its walls were cracked, burned, and twisted as if by claws, a symbol of an unknown civilization marked. The entrance inside, the corridor smelled of chemicals and fear. Lights flickered weakly. The deeper they went, the more they saw. Scratches on walls, broken machines, doors bent outwards as if something had forced its way. It did not look abandoned. It looked escaped. Then they found him. A thin figure crouched in the corner of a lab. His skin was pale gray, his eyes glowing faint blue. His body shook as if he had not rested in weeks. When he saw the humans, he whispered, "You came. You actually came." The alien looked more like a scientist than a soldier. His hands were covered with burns, his clothes torn. He clutched a device to his chest. His voice cracked as he repeated, "Please, you must help me. I cannot hide it anymore." Harris knelt, trying to calm him. "What is it? What are you hiding?" he asked. The alien's eyes widened with terror. It was my creation. At first it was small, controllable. I thought it was a success." His voice broke. But it did not stop. It never stopped. It kept growing, changing, learning. The team exchanged looks. What was this creature? Why was it so dangerous that even its own creator was begging for help? The alien grabbed Harris's arm with surprising strength. "You don't understand. It can copy, it can adapt. Every second it becomes stronger, smarter, more like you." He looked around the shadows as if expecting something to leap out. "If you do not stop it now, it will consume everything, human and alien alike." A heavy silence filled the lab. The humans felt the weight of his words. Harris realized this was only the beginning. Whatever was hiding here was beyond science, beyond war. It was something that should not exist. The alien's voice dropped to a whisper. "It is already out. I cannot hide it anymore." The team suddenly felt the walls closing in. The shadows seemed alive. The ship outside felt too far away, too small to protect them. They had walked into something far greater than they had ever faced. And in the heart of the broken facility, the strange sound returned, a scratching like claws against metal. The alien trembled, covering his face. "Please, make it stop growing," he begged again. His words echoed through the dead halls, and Harris finally understood. This was not just a rescue mission. This was the beginning of a nightmare. The lab was filled with silence. Only the sound of the alien's heavy breathing broke the stillness. His eyes glowed faint blue, reflecting fear and regret. The human team stood tense, unsure if they should trust him. Commander Harris raised a hand, signaling the others to stay calm. He stepped closer. Watching every twitch of the alien scientist, the air was thick, as if the walls themselves were listening. The alien pressed his back against the cold metal, clutching the strange device tighter. "I am Draven," the alien said with a broken voice. "I was a scientist, once respected, now cursed." His throat rattled as if every word cost him pain. He lowered his eyes, avoiding Harris's direct stare. The human studied him. He looked fragile, thin, weak, but his presence carried a heavy weight. Something in his trembling hands spoke of secrets too dangerous to ignore. Harris's voice was steady but firm. "What exactly did you make?" The question lingered like smoke in the air. Draven swallowed, his lips dry, his eyes haunted. "You would not understand," he whispered. "It was meant to heal, to strengthen, to be perfect." He paused, looking around the shadows. "But perfection does not stop. Perfection never rests. Perfection keeps growing." His words sent a chill through the humans. None of them moved. Every soldier tightened their grip on their weapon. Draven continued, his voice rising with urgency. "At first it was only cells in a glass chamber. Harmless, tiny, I thought it was beautiful." His face twisted with guilt. Then it began to grow faster, changing its form every hour, learning from everything around it, even from me. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. A monster created by science, and now loose in the dark. It sounded like madness, but the terror in Draven's eyes told them it was true. Suddenly the corridor lights flickered. A low hum echoed through the hall. The soldiers turned quickly, scanning every corner. Draven froze, pressing himself against the wall. "It is near," he whispered. "I can feel it." Harris raised his weapon, but the shadows remained still, nothing moved. Yet the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Draven shook his head in despair. "You do not see because it does not want you to see. It learns how to hide." The crew's youngest officer, Davis, muttered nervously. "Maybe this is all. A trick, maybe he's lying to us." But his voice lacked confidence, even he felt the truth pressing down on them. Harris spoke again, calmer but sharper. "If you want our help, Draven, you need to be clear. Tell us where it is." Draven's shoulders slumped, his glowing eyes filled with tears. "It escaped into the tunnels beneath this facility. It grows in the dark. It hides in silence. It waits." The humans felt the weight of his confession. They were standing above something unnatural, something alive. The ground beneath them suddenly seemed less stable. Every shadow became a possible threat. Draven clutched the device tighter. "This is the only thing that can track it," he explained. A small scanner blinked with faint red lights. "It senses its energy, its hunger. But I do not know how long it will work. It adapts too quickly." Harris reached out, slowly taking the device from him. Draven resisted for a moment, then let go with trembling hands. The commander studied the blinking screen. A single dot pulsed in the lower corner, deep underground. It was moving, slowly but surely. The soldiers' faces grew pale. They realized they were not hunters here. They were prey. The creature was already watching, already learning. Draven whispered again, voice full of dread. "It knows you are here now." The silence was broken by a sudden crash deeper in the facility. Metal screeched, walls shook, dust rained from above. The humans snapped their weapons toward the sound. Draven covered his face, muttering, "It follows me, it always follows me." Harris barked orders. Secure the perimeter, move in teams, stay sharp. But even as he spoke, he knew they were entering a game with rules they did not understand. Every instinct told him the creature was already several steps ahead. As the team advanced, the corridors grew darker. The flickering lights finally died, leaving only the glow of their scanners. The silence grew heavier, every footstep echoing like thunder. In that silence, Harris realized something chilling. The facility was not abandoned. It was waiting. Draven walked behind them, whispering to himself, "I should never have made it. I should never have tried. I thought I could create life. But I made hunger. Endless hunger." His voice cracked, his hands shaking as if the memory alone was poison. Suddenly, the scanner beeped louder. The dot was no longer still. It was rushing toward them. The soldiers raised their weapons, eyes darting into the shadows. But the hallway remained empty. The beeping grew faster, louder, more urgent. Then it stopped. Silence returned. No movement, no sound, only the echo of their own breaths. Draven's face turned pale gray. "It is here," he whispered. The soldiers spun around, their beams of light cutting through the darkness, but there was nothing, only walls and shadows. And then from the ceiling a faint scratching began. Slow, deliberate, as if claws were tracing the metal. The sound moved above them, circling, stalking. The humans aimed upward, fingers trembling on their triggers. The alien scientist collapsed to his knees, covering his ears. "Please," he cried out. "Please make it stop growing." The sound stopped. The silence returned. But now every human knew they were not alone in the darkness anymore. The scratching above them faded, leaving only the weight of silence. Every soldier's finger rested on the trigger, every eye fixed on the shadows. But nothing came down. Nothing showed itself. Only fear remained. Commander Harris lowered his weapon slightly. He turned toward the alien scientist, Draven, who was still trembling on the ground. His glowing eyes flickered with guilt and terror. Harris's voice was cold, steady, demanding. "Enough secrets? Tell us everything. What exactly did you create?" Draven lifted his head slowly, his face pale and broken. He looked at the humans with empty eyes, as if remembering the moment his life fell apart. "You do not understand," he whispered, his voice cracked and hollow. "I tried to build hope, not horror. I tried to cure weakness, not create hunger." The soldiers exchanged confused glances. Draven's hands shook as he pressed them against his chest. His voice grew sharper, filled with self-loathing. "I was ordered to build a weapon, something that would make my people strong, something unstoppable, but I wanted more. I wanted to go beyond war, beyond death. I wanted to make life itself better." He looked at Harris with burning shame. "So I broke the rules. I stole DNA from different species. I mixed it, shaped it, forced it to grow, and when it lived, I thought I had changed the future." The humans stared at him in disbelief. Harris narrowed his eyes, his voice cutting like a blade. "You played with life like it was clay. You wanted to be a god." Draven's head dropped. "And I became a monster instead." He rose slowly to his feet, his thin body trembling. He moved toward a shattered glass chamber, pointing at its jagged edges. This was its first home, a chamber of light and liquid. I watched it grow like a child. I fed it knowledge. I gave it patterns of thought. I believed it loved me. His voice cracked again, heavy with sorrow. But then, it grew faster than I could imagine. Its mind leapt beyond mine. It began to mimic my voice, my hands, my face. Draven's eyes widened as he remembered. It called me father. And then it asked why it should obey me. The humans stiffened. The idea of a creature learning so quickly filled them with dread. Draven's voice grew harsher. "I tried to destroy it. I burned samples, I shut down the lab, but every time I killed it, another form appeared, stronger, smarter, like it had already predicted my moves." He turned away, clutching the wall for support. "Do you understand now? This is not a creature. It is evolution without limits. A hunger for growth without an end." The youngest soldier, Davis, stepped forward, his face pale. "If it keeps growing, what happens next?" Draven's voice shook as he answered. "It becomes everything, and then nothing will remain. The soldiers tightened their grips on their rifles. The silence of the lab pressed harder against their ears. It was no longer just a mission. It was survival against something unnatural. Harris studied Draven carefully. Every instinct told him the alien was telling the truth, the desperation, the trembling voice, the broken spirit. This was not the act of a deceiver. It was the confession of a creator who had lost control. The commander asked, "Why call us? Why humans? Why not your own people?" Draven's eyes burned with shame. "My people wanted it. They wanted to use it as a weapon. They would never destroy it. But I saw what it would become. Only humans might fight it without fear of power. Only you might dare to end it." The room fell silent again. Even the soldiers who doubted him now felt the truth in his words. This was no trap. This was a desperate plea. Suddenly, the scanner in Harris's hand beeped again. The red dot was moving, faster now, circling beneath the ground. Draven's face turned to terror. "It hears us, it feels us, it grows stronger because of us." The ground beneath them rumbled, dust falling from the ceiling. A deep, low vibration echoed through the facility. It was not just a creature hiding, it was something spreading, expanding. The forbidden experiment was alive and restless. Harris barked orders. "Fall back, regroup, do not let it corner us." But even as he spoke, the vibration grew louder. The walls of the corridor began to crack. From the fractures, thin black veins spread, crawling like roots. They pulsed, alive, as if the walls themselves were bleeding. Draven staggered back, his voice breaking. "It is reaching for us. It is pulling the world into itself." The soldiers fired at the veins, but the bullets only tore dust and sparks. The black growths pulsed faster, stronger, as if feeding on their violence. The crew's breathing turned ragged. The air felt heavier, filled with something unseen. Davis shouted, "It's changing the environment. It's rewriting the air itself." Harris clenched his teeth, his eyes hard. "Then we stop it here. No more running." But even as he said the words, the ground split open. From the crack, a faint sound rose, like a child laughing. A laugh that was not human, not alien, but something in between. Draven fell to his knees, clutching his head. "It remembers me, it mocks me, it calls to me." The laugh echoed through the corridors, twisting into words. "Father," it whispered, faint but clear. Every soldier froze, their hearts pounding in terror. The forbidden experiment had spoken. It was not hiding anymore. It was calling them deeper into the dark. And Harris knew this was only the beginning of the nightmare. The word "father" echoed through the broken corridors. It was not loud, yet it carried weight like a storm. Every soldier froze, gripping their rifles tighter. Even Commander Harris felt a chill crawl down his spine. Draven trembled on his knees, his glowing eyes wide with despair. "It speaks now. It learns faster than ever. It has found a voice," he whispered. His hands shook as he covered his face. "It wants me. It always wants me." The scanner in Harris's hand beeped wildly. The red dot pulsed with erratic speed, moving closer, then farther. Like something circling prey, the ground rumbled again, dust falling from the cracked ceiling. Black veins stretched across the walls like living roots, pulsing in rhythm with the beeps. The soldiers lifted their rifles, forming a protective line. Davis whispered nervously, "If that thing is alive, then it's already inside the walls." His words made the silence heavier. Every shadow looked alive, every sound seemed like breathing. Then, without warning, the corridor ahead split open. Metal tore apart like paper, sparks bursting as steel bent outward. Something pushed through the wall, something that should not exist. A long black arm stretched out, thin but strong, ending in claws sharper than knives. It dragged across the floor, leaving deep marks in the steel. The soldiers opened fire, bullets tearing into the arm, but instead of bleeding, the surface rippled, like liquid. The arm twisted, reshaping, adapting. Each bullet only made it stronger, harder, more resistant. Draven screamed, "Stop! You cannot hurt it that way. You only feed its evolution." The soldiers hesitated, their weapons useless against something that defied nature. Harris raised his hand, ordering them to cease fire. The arm withdrew back into the wall, the metal closing as if nothing had ever broken. But the black veins remained, pulsing faster, spreading across the ceiling. Suddenly, a hatch behind them burst open. 2 more limbs slithered out, moving with terrifying speed. The team scattered, trying. To keep distance, one soldier fired a grenade into the opening. The explosion shook the hall, fire engulfing the space. For a moment, silence returned. But then came the laugh. The same broken laugh, half human, half alien, echoing through the fire. The flames bent, pulled inward, as if the creature was swallowing the energy itself. The soldiers stared in disbelief. Draven shouted, "Do you see? It takes everything, even fire becomes food for it." The ground beneath their boots cracked again. This time something massive pushed upward. A towering shape forced itself out of the floor. It was not a single form, but many shifting at once. Eyes blinking across its surface, mouths forming and vanishing, arms growing and shrinking. It was chaos in the shape of life. The soldiers opened fire again, desperation in every shot. But the bullets disappeared into the black mass, absorbed. Like drops into water, the creature's surface shimmered. Growing harder, stronger, faster, it lunged forward, slamming one soldier against the wall with inhuman force. Bones snapped, his scream was cut short. The mass swallowed him whole, leaving nothing but silence. Draven fell to the ground, clawing at the floor. "This is my fault, my sin, my curse," he cried. "It was never meant to live this long. It was never meant to be free." Harris pulled him up, his voice harsh and commanding. "Then tell us how to stop it now." Draven's glowing eyes flickered with hopelessness. "There is no stopping it, only delaying it. Once it escapes, it will spread. It will grow without end." The creature roared, its shifting form vibrating the walls. The sound was not only heard but felt, shaking their bones. It began tearing through the facility, ripping walls apart as if the entire base were paper. Pipes burst. Steam filled the air. Alarms screamed. The whole place became a collapsing trap. Harris shouted to his team, "Fall back! We cannot fight! It here!" The soldiers ran through the flickering corridors, the scanner still beeping in Harris's hand. But now the red dot was everywhere, multiplying, surrounding them. Draven cried out, "It splits. It divides itself. You are not facing one. You are facing many." The humans rushed through the burning halls, each step echoing like thunder. The creature chased them, bursting through walls, its limbs stretching, its mouth screaming in voices not their own. One moment it looked human, the next alien, the next something indescribable. It was every nightmare fused into one. They reached the landing bay, their ship still waiting, engines ready. But as they approached, the ground beneath the bay cracked wide open. The creature surged upward, larger than ever, blocking their path. Its many eyes glowed in the dark, its voice twisting with 1,000 tones. "Father, why run from me?" The soldiers froze, fear locking their legs. Harris forced himself forward, shouting, "Move, get to the ship." They fired everything they had, grenades, plasma shots, rockets. The bay filled with fire and light. But when the smoke cleared, the creature still stood. Burned, twisted, but alive and still growing. Draven fell to his knees again. It will never stop. It will never die. It was born from forbidden hands, and now it wants to claim all hands. The soldiers backed toward the ship, their weapons shaking. The creature's massive form stretched higher, its shadow swallowing the bay. For the first time in his long career, Commander Harris felt true helplessness. He realized they were not fighting a beast, not even an army. They were fighting the endless hunger of evolution itself. The creature let out a scream that shattered glass and steel. The sound carried far into the dead sky. The alien scientist whispered once more, his voice breaking like glass, "Please, make it stop growing." And with those words, the nightmare fully escaped into the world. The landing bay was filled with smoke and dust. The soldiers backed toward the ship, their weapons shaking in tired hands. The creature loomed above them, its body shifting, changing, never still. But then, without warning, it pulled back, sinking into the cracks of the ground. disappearing into the darkness below. For a long moment, no one moved. The silence was so heavy it felt like a weight pressing on their chest. Davis finally whispered, "Why? Why did it stop? It could have killed us all." His voice shook with fear and confusion. Draven collapsed against the wall, his thin body trembling, his glowing eyes flickered like dying lights. "It is playing with us," he muttered. "It learns from every move. It wanted to see how you fight, now it knows." The soldiers exchanged uneasy looks, suspicion growing like fire. Some of them began to whisper behind their helmets. One muttered, "This alien, maybe he's controlling it." Another spat. "Maybe he brought us here on purpose. Maybe this whole thing is a trap." Commander Harris heard their doubts. He turned sharply toward Draven, his voice hard as steel. "Tell me the truth. Do you command that thing?" Draven's eyes widened with shock. No, you must believe me. I lost control long ago. It does not obey, it only grows." But suspicion spread quickly among the crew. They had lost one man already, devoured before their eyes. And yet the alien scientist still stood unharmed, untouched. The question twisted in every soldier's mind. Why would the monster leave its creator alive? Davis finally voiced what they were all thinking. Maybe it protects him. The words echoed in the bay like poison. The soldiers turned their eyes on Draven, hands tightening on their rifles. Draven raised his arms weakly, shaking. His head, "No, you don't understand. It does not protect me, it tortures me, it follows me because I made it. Because it wants me to watch what it becomes." His voice cracked as he shouted, "It calls me father, but I am its prisoner, not its master." The soldiers were not convinced. One stepped forward, pointing his weapon at the alien's chest. "If you're lying, if you brought this thing to us, I'll end you right here." Harris raised his hand quickly, his voice sharp. "Stand down, all of you." The soldier hesitated, then lowered his weapon slightly, but the suspicion did not leave his eyes. Harris stared hard at Draven. He wanted to trust the alien, but doubt gnawed at his mind. The timing, the signal, the fact that the monster called him father. It all felt like more than coincidence. Still, Harris knew one truth. Without Draven, they had no answers, no guide, no chance of survival. He spoke with authority. "We keep him alive for now, but if I even suspect he is leading us into another trap, I will not hesitate." Draven lowered his head, silent, carrying the weight of both guilt and distrust. The team regrouped, preparing to retreat to the ship. But when they tried to power the engines, the systems flickered and died. Panels sparked, alarms blared. The ship refused to respond. A mechanic cursed under his breath. "It's in the systems. It infected the ship." The soldiers panicked. Some shouted to abandon the base, to escape on foot. But Harris silenced them with a glare. "No one leaves. If it's inside the systems, we can't outrun it. It will track us anywhere." The tension thickened. Whispers grew louder, suspicion sharper. One soldier muttered, "He's the reason. The alien brought it to us. It wants him, and we're just bait." Another nodded. "Without him, maybe it wouldn't follow." Draven's hands clenched, his voice rising with desperation. "You fools, it does not matter if I live or die. It is already beyond me, beyond all of us." He pointed to the black veins spreading across the bay walls. "Look, can you not see? It has already marked this place. It grows in the metal, in the air, in your very blood." The soldiers recoiled at his words. Some pressed their hands to their helmets, as if imagining the infection creeping inside them. Fear turned quickly, into anger, and anger into violence. Two soldiers advanced toward Draven, weapons raised. Harris stepped between them, his voice thunderous. "Enough. If anyone fires without my order, I'll put them down myself." Silence followed his words, heavy and dangerous. The soldiers backed off, but the suspicion remained, burning like a slow fire. Draven stood hunched, broken, his glowing eyes filled with sorrow. He whispered quietly, "You think I am your enemy, but soon you will see. The true enemy is not me. It is what I made, and it will not stop until it wears your face too." The scanner beeped again, the red dot flickering wildly. The soldiers turned their heads, weapons ready, hearts racing. The creature was on the move again, faster than before. The ground rumbled, the air thickened, but this time it did not strike. Instead, it stayed just far enough away, circling, them hunting, waiting. The soldiers exchanged nervous glances. One muttered, "It's playing with us, like a predator with its prey." Draven's voice was hollow. "It does not just want to kill you, it wants to learn you, to become you." The weight of those words settled over the humans like a storm cloud. For the first time, Harris saw fear even in his most hardened soldiers. Not fear of death, but fear of being replaced. The idea that the monster would one day look like them, move like them, speak like them. Suspicion shifted, now not just against Draven, but against each other. If the creature could learn from humans, could copy them, how long before one of them was no longer who they claimed to be? The silence grew unbearable. The only sound was the faint, distant laugh of the creature echoing through the dead halls, mocking them, promising them a truth far darker than death. The silence after the creature's laughter was unbearable. Every soldier stood frozen, eyes darting across the shadows. Their weapons shook in their hands. Even the air felt heavier, as if the base itself was holding its breath. Commander Harris forced his voice to stay steady. "We move, find answers. We cannot fight what we do not understand." His words carried weight, but his soldiers' eyes betrayed doubt. Suspicion still lingered, burning like fire behind their helmets. Draven followed behind them. His steps, weak and unsteady, his glowing eyes flickered in the dim light. He whispered to himself, "It will leave evidence always. Pieces of what it becomes, pieces of what it takes." The corridors stretched endlessly, filled with shadows and broken lights. The walls bore claw marks, long and deep, but mixed in with them were something stranger. Handprints, human handprints, burned into the steel as if by fire. The soldiers froze when they saw it. One of them touched the mark carefully, then pulled his hand back in horror. "It's warm," he said. The metal still pulsed with heat, as if the hand had only been there moments ago. Draven's face twisted with despair. "It is learning from you, from your very flesh. It studies you like a book, and now it wears your touch." His words echoed in the hall, leaving the soldiers shaken. The idea that the creature could mimic even their smallest details filled them with dread. They pressed forward, deeper into the base. More evidence appeared around them. A wall with smeared fingerprints. Not alien, but human. A broken door that seemed bent outward with unnatural strength. And in the center of the hallway, a pool of black liquid that shimmered like oil. Davis knelt near it, scanning with his device. The screen flickered, confused by the sample. It's not liquid, it's alive," he whispered. The substance twitched, shifting like a tiny muscle. The soldiers stepped back quickly, raising their rifles. Draven stared at it, his voice hollow. "This is how it spreads, leaving fragments, each one waiting, each one growing. Even the smallest piece can become another." The soldiers cursed under their breath. Fear twisted into anger again, some glaring at Draven as if his words alone condemned them. They moved on, their boots crunching over broken glass and twisted metal. The scanner in Harris's hand beeped softly, showing faint movements deeper below. Every step they took carried the weight of doom, until finally they reached another laboratory door, half destroyed, half melted. Inside, the room was filled with shattered machines and broken data screens. But on the far wall, glowing in the dim light, was something that froze them all in place. A message written in human letters, burned into the steel. The words were shaky, uneven, but clear. "Help me." The soldiers stared in disbelief. "Impossible." One whispered, "No human has been here, how could it write this?" Draven's voice cracked as he answered, "It copies what it sees, what it hears. It must have studied your language and now it uses it." The soldiers exchanged fearful glances. It was no longer just a beast, no longer just an experiment. It was something that could think, something that could speak, something that could beg. Harris clenched his fists. The writing on the wall was more terrifying than any scream. It was proof the creature not only learned, it wanted them to know, it wanted them to understand that it was watching. Suddenly, Davis gasped. pointing to a corner of the lab. There lay a broken helmet, dented and blood-stained. Harris picked it up slowly, turning it over. The name etched on the side froze his heart. It belonged to the soldier who had been swallowed earlier. The helmet was twisted, but the inside was clean. No trace of flesh, no bone, no blood, except for a single drop on the outside. It was as if the creature had taken everything inside the armor, leaving only the shell behind. The soldiers stared in silence. One whispered, What if it's wearing him now?" The thought spread quickly, poisonous and terrifying. Every soldier began to eye each other, suspicion deeper than ever. Draven's voice cut through the silence, trembling but firm. "This is what it wants, to divide you, to make you question. Soon you will not know who is human and who is not." The lights flickered violently. The floor trembled beneath their boots. The scanner beeped louder, faster. Something was moving, coming closer. The soldiers raised their rifles, hearts racing. The shadows stretched long against the walls. Then out of the darkness a figure stepped forward. It was human, wearing the armor of the soldier they had lost. The team froze, disbelief and terror locking them in place. The figure moved slowly, its head tilting unnaturally. Then it spoke in a voice that was almost perfect. "Commander Harris." The words were broken, stretched, as if forced through a throat that was not real. The soldiers aimed, their hands shaking violently. Draven screamed, "Do not trust it. It is not him. It is never him." The figure smiled, a human smile stretched. Too wide, too wrong. Its hand twitched, shifting into claws, then back into fingers. The soldiers opened fire, bullets tearing through its body. The figure staggered, rippling like liquid, then dissolved into black mass. The mass slithered back into the shadows, leaving only silence behind. The soldiers lowered their rifles, their breaths ragged. Their eyes were wide with horror. It was no longer suspicion, no longer just fear. Now they knew the truth. The creature could wear their faces, their voices, their names. Harris stared at the place where the fake soldier had stood. His jaw tightened, his voice grim. "This changes everything. We cannot trust what we see, we cannot trust who we hear." Draven sank to the floor, covering his face. "It has begun. Soon it will not only wear your face, it will wear your mind, your soul, until no one can tell the difference." The soldiers looked at one another, their hearts sinking. And in that moment, every man wondered if the person beside him was still human or something else. The air inside the broken lab was heavy. Every soldier stood tense, eyes darting from shadow to shadow. The memory of the false soldier still haunted them, the way it had worn his face, his voice, his armor. It proved the nightmare was no longer just outside. It was inside their very image. Commander Harris clenched his jaw, forcing calm into his voice. "We move. As one, no one separates. No one goes alone." But even as he said it, doubt filled the air. Each soldier looked at the man beside him, wondering if he was still human. Draven leaned against the wall, his body weak, his glowing eyes full of sorrow. "You cannot fight it with bullets," he muttered. "You cannot fight it with fire. The only way to defeat it is to outthink it, to strike where it cannot adapt." But his words offered little comfort. The soldiers no longer trusted him, no longer trusted anyone. The scanner, in Harris's hand, beeped louder. The red dot was close, very close. The air itself vibrated as if the creature's presence bent reality. And then came the sound, a low, rumbling growl that was not quite human and not quite alien. It echoed through the walls, making their bones shiver. The soldiers raised their rifles, forming a tight circle. Lights flickered above them, plunging the hall into stuttering darkness. And then it appeared, stepping out of the shadows, a shape taller than any human, its body half-formed. One arm looked human, pale and familiar. The other was black and twisted, covered in claws. Its face shifted between features. One moment a soldier they knew, the next an alien expression, the next something unrecognizable. The team froze, horror spreading through them. The creature tilted its head, eyes glowing with unnatural light. When it spoke, Its voice was broken, torn between many tones. Father? Harris? Friend? Each word stretched, twisted, as if stolen from their own mouths. Draven's breath caught, his voice trembling. It has taken everything from me, and now it reaches for you. Harris raised his weapon, his voice sharp. Open fire. Gunfire exploded, filling the hall with light and thunder. Bullets ripped into the creature, tearing chunks from its body, but each wound sealed instantly, black flesh twisting and reshaping. The creature staggered but did not fall. Instead, it grew taller, stronger. Its human-like arms snapped into claws, its alien features expanding. Every shot only fed its hunger. The soldiers shouted in panic. Nothing works. It won't die. The creature lunged. Faster than any human eye could follow, it slammed into one soldier, tearing his weapon away. The soldier screamed, firing his sidearm wildly. But the creature bent his arm backward with ease, silencing him forever. The team pulled back, throwing grenades, the blast shaking the corridor. Flames consumed the black mass, but as the fire burned, the creature only laughed, a broken sound that echoed in many voices. It stepped forward through the flames, unharmed. Every soldier felt their hope sinking into despair. Draven shouted desperately, "Stop feeding it with weapons, you make it stronger, every attack becomes its strength." But the soldiers ignored him, panic ruling their actions. They fired, they screamed, they tried to hold the line, yet the creature advanced, unstoppable. Harris made a split-second decision. "Fall back now," he shouted. The soldiers pulled away, retreating into the next chamber. The doors slammed behind them, sealing for the moment. They caught their breath, hearts pounding, weapons shaking in trembling hands. The silence was broken by scratching. At the door, the sound of claws dragging slowly across the metal. The creature was not rushing, not forcing. It was playing with them. Mocking them, Davis whispered, his voice full of terror. "It doesn't want to kill us all at once. It wants us afraid. Broken. It wants us to lose ourselves before it takes us." His words hit the truth they all felt but dared not say. Draven collapsed onto the floor, clutching his chest. "It is more than flesh, more than claws. It is hunger given form. It learns from your fear as much as from your flesh." He looked up at Harris with hollow eyes. "You cannot fight it as soldiers. You must fight it as hunters. Strike the mind, not the body." The scratching stopped, silence returning once more. Then came a voice, soft, almost gentle. "Let me in," it said. The voice was Davis's, perfect in tone, perfect in pitch. Every soldier turned in shock, staring at Davis himself, his face drained of color, his hands trembling. It's me," he stammered. "But it sounds like me outside the door." The soldiers aimed their rifles at him, suspicion exploding like fire. For a moment, no one knew who was real and who was false. Draven shouted desperately, "This is how it wins. It will break you from within, until you destroy each other for it." The door shook violently, denting inward. The soldiers backed away, torn between pointing their weapons at Davis or the door. The fear was unbearable. Then, with a deafening roar, the door burst open. The creature forced its way inside, towering over them. Its form was worse than before, half human, half alien, shifting with every breath. It looked like all of them, at once, faces flickering across its surface. It was no longer just a monster. It was their reflection twisted into horror. The soldiers screamed, firing again despite knowing it was useless. Harris pulled Draven behind cover, his voice a growl. "Then tell me now, alien, how do we kill it?" Draven's eyes glowed brighter, filled with both terror and grim resolve. "You cannot kill what keeps growing, but you can trap it, starve it, lock it away from everything it feeds on." The creature roared again, slamming into the chamber. Tearing steel apart, the humans had no time left. The confrontation had begun and only one side could survive.